Hi, welcome to EDTC 682, Advanced Instructional Design. I'm John Curry and I'm going to be the instructor for this course. I thought I'd take a few minutes today, shoot a little video and let you know what this course is going to be all about beyond what the syllabus says. We can all read the syllabus, but the syllabus really doesn't give us a lot of flavor. So I thought that I'd give you an idea of what we're dealing with here. As stated, the course is Advanced Instructional Design. Therefore, we presume some background knowledge in instructional design. This is not a basic course in the process of designing instruction. We're not going to talk about aligning objectives and assessment. We're not going to talk formative and summative evaluation, media selection, things of that nature, needs and task analyses. We're going to assume you already know those things. If I say those things and you don't know what I'm talking about, you either might want to take a different course or you've got some brushing up to do on your own. Instead, this is an advanced class. This is a class that's going to talk about the theory behind instructional design. Not the how, but the whys. It's going to look at different ways different theorists think that we should structure instruction so that people think that we can, so to help people learn better. Now, to be honest with you, when it comes to instructional design theory and models, there's only one place to go. And everybody in the field calls them the same thing. We go to the green books. Yeah, I know there's a yellow one there. It actually goes with Green Book Volume 1, so settle down. I know what I'm talking about. There's 3 volumes of green books. In this particular class, we're going to use Volume 2. Volume 3 is more current, but the reason I chose Volume 2 is I like the overview, the breadth of things that they discuss in the book. I like that kind of a general era better. Not that there's anything wrong with what's in Volume 3. We're actually going to read a couple of those things. I'll post those up as PDFs in Blackboard. But we're going to talk about these different ideas about designing instruction. Again, not the how, but the why. Now, to illustrate kind of what I'm talking about, I'm going to read you a story. You heard right. It's story time. So get your hot chocolate, your cookies, your milk, I don't care what it is. But Dr. Curry is going to read you a story now. I'm going to read you a story written by my major professor, David Merrill. It's right here in his book, Instructional Design Theory. And it's a story about him going to graduate school. And it's actually very applicable to what we're doing here in this class. So sit back, it's a couple pages long, and enjoy, and more than anything, listen to the message, because the message is actually very important for what we're doing in this class. Chapter 1. In my final semester of undergraduate work, a check with the registrar showed that I was short 1 hour of credit for my minor in mathematics. Naturally, there were no 1 hour math courses, so it was necessary to enroll in a 3-hour course. The University of Illinois had already awarded me a fellowship for my PhD study. Hence, the completion of the additional math class assumed considerable significance in my life and for my future. A class in number theory appeared on the surface to be the easiest path for the necessary credit. The year was 1961. New mathematics in the public schools was still in the future. Computers were just coming on the scene. Binary arithmetic, base 8, base 16, and other representations of numbers were not in the repertoire of a small town undergraduate student scrambling to complete his bachelor's degree. This particular class in number theory was, for this student, a unique math class. No problems to work, no homework, and a very small textbook. At the end of each lecture, the professor merely said, "Think about it." Think about what? How do you think about mathematics? In desperation, and as a substitute for thinking, I read the textbook every week. It wasn't difficult. It was only 97 pages long and had a bright yellow cover. However, the concepts floated over my head like clouds in the sky. I had no idea what the course was about and what the text was about. Each week a lecture, the injunction to think about it, and another read through the text. The midterm was a total disaster. It had no problems to work, only a single question. Invent a number system. Invent a number system? What in the world does that mean? In true survival mode, I wrote for the whole 2 hours. However, it didn't fool the instructor. There were 7 students in the class. There were 7 Fs on the midterm. When we objected, the only explanation from the professor was, think about it. My anxiety was at an all-time high. My graduate career was about to be terminated before it began by the unnerving command, think about it. I tried every avenue of escape. Another class? Could I get the registrar to waive the credit? Home study? There was no other options. My bachelor's degree, and hence my entrance into graduate school, were both riding on a class in which I had received a failing grade on the midterm, and worse, a class that to me was completely incomprehensible. Somewhere in the 13th week, the light came on. Number systems are inventions. They are not natural phenomena. Number systems are like any other invention, an assembly line, an organization. A number system is merely a system of logic consisting of premises and conclusions. Base 10 is only one of many possible number systems. Base 10 numbers are useful for many everyday things, but other systems might be equally as useful. The day of the final arrived. My anxiety was still high, but at least I thought I understood. You guessed it, only one question. Invent a number system. Either I understood, or it was too late. My future graduate studies depended on my ability to invent a number system. So I wrote, let there be an oar and a rubber boot. I proceeded to define a binary number system with 2 elements, an oar and a rubber boot. I was in the professor's office the next day to see if I was going to go to graduate school or not. He handed me my paper with a large red A written across the top. I thanked him, breathed a sigh of relief, and vowed never to take another math class as long as I lived. Pretty good, right? Chapter 2. My first year of graduate school was very difficult. Not only was there a tremendous amount of work, but there seemed to be too many contradictions. The content of learning psychology challenged many of my fundamental beliefs. There were numerous contending systems, each claiming to explain learning. I struggled for days to try to explain learning of the concept green using only SR bonds. I found myself in the basement of the psychology building feeding rats that were on a deprivation schedule. Why was I feeding rats when I wanted to know how to teach children? I was about ready to give up and look for a real job. About this time, B.F. Skinner visited the campus. Like my fellow classmates, I went to hear the great man. I don't remember any details of the lecture, but his response in the question and answer period changed my life. A member of the audience said, Dr. Skinner, in your book, which he named, you said such and such, some detail of Skinner's theory, but tonight you seem to contradict yourself by saying such and such. And he quoted part of Skinner's speech. Hell, said Skinner. Do you think I believe everything I ever wrote? This was a great insight for me. Here was a great author saying he changed his mind and now disagrees with his earlier self. However, what he said next changed my life. What I've tried to do, continued Skinner, is to make only a few assumptions and then see how much of human learning we can explain with only these assumptions. He went on to defend his theory and the point he made in his speech. I stopped listening before he ended his explanation. Good grief, I thought. Psychology is just an oar and a rubber boot as well. Psychological systems are not reality either, but merely logical systems that try to explain what we observe in the real world. Behavior is merely one logical system that is tested against reality to see how good a match can be found. Just like there can be many different number systems, there can be many different psychological systems. Each is tested against reality to see how close it fits, but none are reality, merely inventions. I returned to my studies with renewed enthusiasm. I looked upon all theories as artificial systems and found them fascinating. I stopped trying to make all the theories agree and then force them into one great truth. It became a game to see if I could identify the theorist's assumptions and conclusions. It was fascinating to observe that some systems were carefully constructed and logical, while other systems were very loosely constructed and often violated the canons of logic. I realized that theory building is our puny attempt to understand our world by inventing artificial systems and trying them out against the world. Later in my graduate career, I had one additional insight. We were studying learning and some instructional theories. It was apparent that learning theories tended to explain how persons acquire and store knowledge, but they had very little to say about how an instructor should structure and sequence knowledge to promote efficient and effective learning. It occurred to me that one could build a logical system, a theory about instruction. So I said, let there be an instructional oar and a rubber boot. And that's how Dr. Merrill became the great theorist and theory builder that he is. That's what this course is about. We're going to look at a bunch of different people's oars and rubber boots. Their attempts to explain how do we put together instruction? What's the best way? Some work better than others. Some work for some people and not for others. But in this course, what we can't do is get caught up in what Dr. Merrill was doing, trying to make everything fit nice together and all answer the same question the same way. It doesn't work. The best way to get through this course is to do just what he did. Find their instructional oar and rubber boot. What are the assumptions and conclusions that they're making? I think if you do this, you're going to find that it's a whole lot easier to get through the course. It's going to be easier to compare them against each other, and you'll probably get more out of it. But all in all, when it comes to this course, here's what I hope that you really get. I hope that you strengthen yourself as an instructional designer. I hope that you have more options available to you because you understand more oars and rubber boots. I hope that you gain more confidence in designing instruction because you have more tools in the toolbox. It can be done, but it's going to take some work. You're going to have to flex the cognitive muscles. Yeah, we'll have design projects here and there, some smaller, some bigger, some required and some optional. But you can get all that in the syllabus. You can find out how I grade in the syllabus. But right here, right now, I'm going to say this. Have some fun. This is cool stuff. I've been teaching for almost 2 decades now. And you know what? This is my favorite course to teach. It always reinvigorates me as a designer to look for the instructional oars and rubber boots, to see if I can pick them out. I hope that you enjoy it as well. I hope that it's something that you find valuable beyond just the fact that you need to take this course. Because let's be honest, we've all been victims of receiving poor instruction, and we've probably all presented some poor instruction. And that doesn't help anybody. If we have a basic knowledge of the instructional design process, what you should already have for this course, coming into this course, then we're a little bit dangerous and we're better off than most. But if we can get a little bit of an understanding of 2 or 3 different design models and theories, then we can become powerful designers and instructors in our own right. So I wish you luck in this course. And as always, have fun. And I'll see you guys online.